what's the interface? Like if I am the public, I want to go into the city of Knoxville's board actions for the last 10 years and talk to the data. Is that something that you're enabling for not just internal folks, but citizens?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and that kind of tags on to a question that was in chat, which was like, how are we getting over the barrier, like the resistance that is maybe naturally inherent in local government to be a little bit
Right.
risk adverse. We like we want that, right? But also
Disruption.
maybe
There
not
you go.
always, yeah, right, not always so forward leading. And so we have currently Madison AI is a staff focused tool. It could
Okay.
be exposed to the public, but we have just wanted to remove all of the roadblocks along the way of just allowing for a little bit of experimentation in a safe manner for our government leaders that are on the front edge of this. We're using publicly available data, so we've removed this whole issue of security and risk related to PII
Hmm.
and all of that. Sure, can we go there? Of course, but let's start somewhere simple, and we're really focused on staff and electeds. I just want to say there's a lot of other really amazing government technology startups that are focused on the citizen experience and exposing this type
Hmm.
of like type of quick interface to the citizens and a citizen experience journey. We're really focused on, as we said, helping our local leaders be more effective. So that's the short answer about the citizen piece, and
Got
it's
it.
working, right? So it's really reduced everybody's concerns, because actually we do need our government leaders to evaluate the information that's coming back from the AI that we've developed to make sure that it's right, and that matters. So that's why we don't want to necessarily put that in the public domain. So I saw a question come up, but I didn't see it quick enough.
Oh, it was the one you
So
were talking about. We're good.
okay,
So
okay,
I'm gonna
cool.
nerd out on the ERP end of this for a little bit.
Yes, let's talk about it.
Um, you're you're specifically doing public action right now, right? Is it post board commission council meeting, or is Madison also helping clients put together agendas and packets?
Both. Yep. So it's both.
Okay.
So if we were to think about Madison AI as being the institutional knowledge of an agency, that includes all of the authoritative documents, code, law, budgets,
Hmm.
master plans, minutes, staff reports. So that whole like bucket of stuff.
Right. Right. So what I'm trying to piece together is as you're putting together a budget request or a contract for a thing that you have to take to the board for approval, a lot of data has to come from your financial systems, your HR systems. I can see if you're not doing it already, right? Madison being able to go back into backend systems and pulling that together uh, in a very detailed format, and then allowing people that will be voting on a certain item to, again, have discussions with that data and also pull in research from outside. Because a lot of times you go to commission council meetings and you know a, a very technical item that is on the agenda for a vote suddenly becomes contentious because it's hard to understand. People don't want to ask the question about the whats and whys to maybe not look as smart, right?
Yeah.
There could be such a great value in having something like Madison available to council members that can just ask the question and get educated on the item itself before the vote.
100%. Like, so that is one of the things that we're actively working on right now, because again, kind of in that halo of multiplying our mission and good governance and all of that.
Hmm.
And your point, I think, AV, is just that notion of being able to pull in different data sets. So the first data set that we're essentially like electrifying, if you will, or giving life to, is all the information that's locked into PDFs. Like, we are just
Right.
like local government's just awash in PDFs, right? Or TIFF files,
Yeah.
as the case may be, which is super fun. And so actually, and maybe this is a tip for everybody, just to kind of share for a second. Look, I'll just go into the data piece for a minute, and then
Yeah.
and then talk about flowing in other data sets. But one of the things that you'll hear a lot about is garbage in, garbage out. We know this.
Hmm.
So AI can do really great stuff. AI is amazing. Generative AI is generative, so it writes really well. And if the base level information isn't accurate, it's going to write a bunch of stuff that's not right. And we
Hmm.
can call it hallucinations, that's fine. But it's more importantly, it's not actually helping you do summarization or do analysis or prepare for that board meeting. And so, what matters a lot, and I just again, I would just put this out to everybody that's listening on the listening today, is that notion of asking the right questions around the data sets that you're using in a specific knowledge domain. So we're calling them knowledge domains. So the first one is around policy. You heard me talk about
Hmm.
this. It so happens that that data is pretty um, clean, as I mentioned. But when we find fault, we're finding fault because the AI is not reading the data. We haven't converted it correctly enough. We missed a couple of files. The finance tables weren't read right. And so for all of us that are really like deep in on this and really, and if you're leading it, to really ask the right questions to make sure that that data is complete and readable. So that's just that. Then, in addition to that, we're creating distinct data sets and we're not merging them. So we've got that sort of base level data that is that is the public record flowing in financial data, maybe flowing in web results, flowing in citizen facing responses or survey data. And so for what we're doing, instead of mixing all that together, we're keeping them really distinct. And you're right, AV, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, and the sky's the limit. I think as long as your data either exists in an electronic format, it's clean, it's distinct. You made a great point there about making sure that you're not, that as you go through this, you're making sure that your data is pristine. And that's where it's going to come down to. Again, going back to workforce, the key skill sets of the future are keeping data sets clean and being able to talk to AI agents about what you want from those data sets, right? I think that the hard coding of software is slowly being phased out. And the
That's right.
software engineers in the audience might pull the pitchforks out, but that's what I think is going to happen because the emphasis will be on clean data on great databases and properly trained and instructed agents to go get the thing for you from those databases.
That's right.
And Kyler asks a question, and this is I'll make a Vero plug. Yes, Vero can help with the
Yeah.
data organization and help you with the business process and strategy around getting ready for something like Madison AI, right? Because one of the things we are starting to do is strategy around AI, your readiness. We've come up with a AI readiness model, several different steps that, a lot of people ask us, hey, how much is AI and where can I buy it? Wrong question to start with, right? Uh, it all comes down to organizational strategy, technology strategy, and how ready you are to take something like this on. So, what, you know, you're working with several public sector agencies, right?
We
And to your
are.
point, they all have public documents that are, board packets and meeting minutes and stuff like that. That, like you said, low-hanging fruit doesn't require a lot of maturity on the client's end to get it done. But let's talk about tech maturity. They need to have some sort of a baseline and organization on the client's end to sort of assist you guys and to set up something like Madison. Like, what's the baseline there? What do you when you walk into a client, what what would you see that wouldn't make a low-hanging fruit worth picking?
Yeah, that's such an interesting question. Our approach, and just to give a plug for you guys as well on this is, and I know you all work in this in the same sort of philosophical umbrella, is
Hmm.
to really be that low impact partner to our customers. So we know that if we put a bunch of roadblocks up in terms of what it's going to take to actually a Madison AI implementation, it's going to take a year, right? And so
Hmm.
our goal is to, and I think this is a really great, another great design principle that people should run with, is to really start small. And again, we say this, right? But like pick something that's small that you're not doing a system replacement with. I actually think that's super important, by the way. Sure, maybe, but like something small that's not displacing an existing system, something that's actually worth working on that would make people's jobs better. Um, and then set up the components to that. And I think one of the questions is setting up an internal LLM, a phased approach. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's a bit of
let's go to that.
a bit of a phased approach. And I think where it starts with is on the data set. And so AV, just to really talk about that and say to everybody that's on the call today listening in, is absolutely, to the extent that you can bring in help to get a data set in a place to use. That's Without that, the efficacy of anything that you do in AI will fall apart, period, end of story.
Hmm.
I think that the idea behind it is to not let that be a multi-month blocker. Where can
Yeah.
you start where the data is already good? And so we've already talked about with the public record, right, which is awesome. um, so then you're saying also on the tech maturity, back to the phased approach on this. So this might be is sounds a little simple, but honestly, if the executives are not sending a message about experimentation and just like innovation and trying, we're dead. We're dead in the
Yeah.
water. It's, we're going
Yeah.
nowhere. So, and I think that's maybe one of the most important things around AI readiness. The clients that we're working with today have leaders that said, let's try. Let's try. We need to do something different. And it's kind of a moniker, right, to say that, right? But we need to, our organizations, our local government agencies have got to evolve to drive the next engagement of the next leaders in our workforce, the next generation. The jobs have got to become less mundane. We have to be deploying resources to the really big problems our communities need, whether it's affordable housing, homelessness, fires. I'm on the West Coast. So anything we can do to inspire that, we need to be doing as leaders. And I'm saying as government leaders. And so that's like one of the most important markers of AI readiness, is that like
Yeah.
leader stance around trying. And then the rest of it, you're essentially built you're buying an off-the-shelf AI, a purpose-built local government tool. I would also advocate that strongly. There's a lot of really great purpose-built local government solutions, and I would very much go in that direction instead of building it myself. So just as a point on that,
Yeah.
Navy, I know you and your team are awesome about that evaluation and fit. And again, just a big plug for the Avero team on that.
Thank you. And AI readiness too. You're right. Willingness from leadership to experiment and start going in that direction is critical. What we also find is there may be that willingness to do it from the leadership end, but sometimes the tech leaders sort of don't want to go there. Your CIOs, IT managers, yeah, you're going to build a closed LLM just for you, but cybersecurity is still an issue, right? In the age of AI, like last year, we were all about cybersecurity. It hasn't gone away, it's still here. So you have to convince a second set of leadership that you need to
You
dip your
do.
toes in there. And I think that's the key element of readiness because, again, to my point, you may not have the baseline infrastructure in place to take advantage of the what's available in 2025. We talked to a client yesterday, prospect yesterday, that is on AS400 green screen that runs all of their city financials, HR, utility billing, utility management, and they want to modernize. So
Mm.
in this, it's either a very good time to replace that kind of system because now you can bring in AI agents and do more with less, quote unquote, instead of just jumping to the next version of what you've had for 30 years. So readiness comes in different flavors, and to your
It
point,
does.
it starts with leadership. I want to jump quickly to a comment from it seems like a common
Oh,
mutual connection, Clay
yeah.
Pearson.
Yeah.
You
Hi,
know,
Clay.
fun fact, Clay Pearson was, I think, guest number one on this whole podcasting we have going on in
Of course he
2020.
was.
And he
Amazing.
hasn't said anything nice about me on this comment, but kudos. He's a great guy.